highlights of the French Bulldog?
At the combine, the little doggy combine?
Oh, my goodness. He was amazing.
He was great.
Little butterball.
He was
big
great.
head. Awesome. NFL team needs to
Did you get your dog yet or not yet?
Not yet. I need
Okay,
to
we're
make
still
a couple
working on it.
adjustments.
Got it. All right, time now for Say What? Yesterday, Ben Simmons attempted the 14th three-pointer of his career. Here's what Joel Embiid thought about the shot. Say what?
It was actually going in. Me personally, I was getting ready to run the play, and then I just saw the ball go over, and then I was oh. And then he caught me off guard, and then I'm in a position where I'm like, okay, like what just happened?
All right. So this has never been something he's done. A month and a half, 2 months ago, we were talking about this, and I said I thought he was going to start just so people had to, for a moment, think, is he going to shoot? Pull up, because you could be out there without practicing for 3 months, and if you shot 100 threes, make at least 25.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
And so, like, he's not going to shoot. The reason he shoots 0% in his career from three is because they've all been heaves at the end of the clock, right? Like, he should do this more often, once or twice a game. When LeBron, how was LeBron guarding?
He was in the restricted area.
I mean,
they called him for the legal defense.
Right. I mean, when your guy's playing you 15 feet off, like, you see middle school kids that wide open can hit 1 and 4 threes.
The only thing I don't like is you can't go from shooting from 6 feet to 26 feet.
Sure,
all right?
Yeah.
You need an intermediate. Let's shoot something from 15 feet, then the defense, because right now, pick and roll, they're going underneath. No need to guard them.
All right, time now for Stories to Start Your Morning, sponsored by Gillette Clear Gel. So the Sixers blew out the Lakers on Sunday. Embiid had 37. Kyle Kuzma had 39 in the loss. Nick, who had the more impressive game?
Embiid had the better game. I was more impressed by Kuz just because, to me, Kuz was so much bigger than what his typical game is. Embiid had a really good game, but was only about 25% more than what he typically gives you. Kuzma gave you like double what he typically gives you, but Embiid was the best player on the court.
You never think a guy in the NBA is going to get 37 points, Jenna, on 16 shots.
Yeah.
Okay? When you get that type of productivity, and I talked earlier about the free throws, Joel Embiid, what he did was special. Kyle Kuzma, what he did in the first quarter as a Laker, we've only seen a few Lakers do that. None since Kobe.
Sticking with the Sixers, Magic Johnson said he would like to work with Ben Simmons to share some big guard secrets. That is, if the Sixers, Lakers, and the NBA were all okay with it. CC, would this be good for Ben Simmons?
Yeah, of course it would be good, but I've been watching Magic for too long. Like, I've heard a lot of people try to duplicate with Magic. There's a reason why we've only had one Magic Johnson. He does not have the court presence of Magic, and that what Magic has, you can't teach. Check out the NBA records when Magic was a head coach. Also, look at other players. Brian Shaw, remember he was going to mentor him? Oh, check that out. You can't be a mentor when you don't have people behind you being like, you know something? So Magic, to me, as a great player, has never been a great mentor, though. So, man, let's stop.
If he were to do this, though, to answer the question, would it be good for Simmons? Of course. To learn that some of the angles that you can see, Simmons taller than Magic. Magic about 6'8". Some of the passing angles you can see as a big guard. And as you make the point, Ben Simmons is not a natural point guard. Magic was always a
Magic never played in the post. Magic's always played the point guard from his little league team up until high school and into college and in the NBA.
Big night for the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Durant had 39 points in a win over the Heat. Warriors had to come back from 19 down in this one. Nick, how impressive was this for Golden State, or was it another night?
I mean, it was another night. It was the comeback was nice. They got benefit of a clear double dribble late in the game that went uncalled. Durant then hits the game-tying three. But this is how dangerous they are. Boogie and Draymond do nothing for you offensively, but your big three in KD, Steph, and Clay all go for 25+, and that's enough to power you to nearly a 20-point comeback.
I think, Nick, no team in NBA history has been down the last 2 years more than 10 points and had comebacks more than the Warriors.
Right.
Like this, they're sleepwalking through half the games. Then they wake up because they got 5 All-Stars. That's the luxury that they do have.
You never know when a Warriors game's actually going to start. It's usually not at tip-off.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's a very good point. All right, let's move on to a great matchup from Saturday night. Rockets
Hate to see it.
and Thunder picked this up in the fourth quarter. Paul George hitting the three. He had 45 on the night less than a minute to go. Now James Harden hits the runner. That puts the Rockets up 1. Harden with 42. Next possession, this is Russell Westbrook. He will make the layup. Brings the Thunder up 1. Westbrook 9 triple-doubles in a row. That ties an NBA record. Harden tries to give the Rockets the lead. Cannot make it. Thunder come back from being down 26 points. They win 117-112. Chris Carter, which of these two teams is the bigger threat to the Warriors in the West?
Ooh, man, this is difficult. I mean, this is difficult, and it's difficult for me because of one player, and that's Paul George. I just been so mesmerized by how well he plays. He's the best dual player in the NBA. Both sides of the court. No NBA player do we see picking up guys at half court, elite players like Harden, that he's able to guard them in the half court. His ability to be able to shoot the three. Clearly he knows his role playing opposite of Russ and is very, very excited to be able to keep his career going there. I mean, that decision that he made with the basketball that he's playing now, to me, it's one of the most exciting things that are going on in the NBA. If I had an all-NBA team, Paul George is on first all-NBA right now.
Right now, he and Giannis.
Yeah, he should be in the conversation. If we weren't having these record-breaking what Harden was doing and what some other people, what Giannis is doing, Paul George, to me, is right there in the conversation of the most impressive season.
And when you mention first-team All-NBA, the reason I say he and Giannis is LeBron is on a nearly unprecedented streak of consecutive first-team All-NBA at the forward spot. And with 26 games to go, it looks like that's going to get snapped. Like, maybe it won't, but it's hard.
Me and Dusty are working on a list. We might come up with like a Chris list at the All-Star break, All-NBA. Or one time we come up with the list.
And so, but Paul George, what is so impressive to me is, at a point in your career where your goal is typically to maintain, or I'll become a little bit of a better shooter because my athleticism is going down a bit, he is playing the best basketball of his life. He's never averaged more than 24 a game. Not in Indiana, not in his first year with OKC. He's averaging 28 points per game. So to answer your question, which of these two teams could be the bigger threat? I believe it would be Oklahoma City for this reason and this reason only. You only need Russ to catch fire for a week. Like, they are doing what they're doing while Russell Westbrook is having a historically inefficient shooting season as far as the number of threes he shoots, shooting under 30%, and shooting 65% from the line. His MVP year, he was a fine three-point shooter. He was a very good free throw shooter as he had been his whole career. If for 10 days in the playoffs, that Russ comes back, because we know the rebounding, passing, and intensity is going to be there, then they can be a very hard out. But credit to Russ also for ceding control of the team to Paul George. And Paul George sees that, which is why in his post-game press conferences, he always brings up Russ. He's like, listen, we all feed off Russ's energy. He gives it back to Russ publicly because in the game, he is what everything revolves around for this team.
So we know that whether Russ is having an up year or down year, Russ is going to be there strong, and you know that Harden's going to be there strong. How much of between these two teams the success is going to come down to their second star, the Paul George or the Chris Paul, helping out these two superstars?
Well, I think the stars have something to do with it, but now we're talking about who they're going to be playing. It's about Golden State. Man, that second guy ain't no good. Your third guy ain't no good. Fourth guy ain't no good. In the matchups, it's those role players. To be able to match Golden State with Boogie Cousins, going to have 40 games under his belt. Like, he's going to be rolling. Draymond is shooting the ball better. Clay's had a good year after a slow start. KD can turn it on whenever he wants. Steph has been amazing. Like, it doesn't even come down to those second, third players now because it's a different NBA. Man, we need who's going to come off the bench to be able to give you those critical 15 to 20 minutes because, man, this is an NBA that we have never seen that, man, your second guy, right? I mean, how important is it? He's important, but based on the depth of what Golden State can do to you, it's deeper.
To your point, like, let's just say Paul George X's out KD and Russ X's out Steph.
Yeah.
Then you still have Clay and then Boogie. And so the question is, like, can Jeremy Grant play the series of his life? What can you get from Nerlens Noel off the bench? Where I'll give OKC credit is when they moved on from Melo, they could have just said, we're trying to save money. Instead, they brought a more than competent player back in the Melo transaction in Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder gives them a legitimate backup point guard who's been one of the others that you're talking about. But I don't look at Russ as their top guy. I think Russ is maybe the lead guy on the marquee, but on the court, Paul George is their best player.
Quickly, who would be an MVP with these two guys?
It's right now, to me, it's Harden 1, Giannis 2, Paul George 3, and it's a pretty clear. We could show, if we have time real quick, their numbers. Like, it's tough to make a case for Paul George in comparison to the other guys. Like, of the three, Giannis has him crushed in rebounds. They both have him crushed in assists. Giannis has the far better record, and Harden has him crushed in points. Like, Paul George having a great year, and first-team All-NBA will be a hell of an award for him. Very, very hard to make the MVP case for him.
All right, let's move on to the NFL now. The Cowboys, they've got a number to